Hey, DDRT fans. I'm Mike here with Grimsteel Games. I've got Corey producing over here. He's helping me out, so he's also here. And today we will go through playing a few rounds of solo mode. I know it's been questioned out there. Um, really, I'm going to emphasize this as I always do. Read the book. Everything you need to know is in the book. And if you can't find what you want in the book, there's an index. There's a summary sheet on the back. And if you go to Board Game Geek forums, we've been putting up a bunch of information there, strategy type things and clarifications on rules questions. So that's another resource you can use. But as far as solo mode goes, all the basic rules of the game apply. Solo is not a special mode that's totally different than the rest of the game. It's just minutely different. A few cards get removed, like the sneak attack card, Highbrow Huey, Cut Up Promo, and Special Guest Referee. Those cards are removed because they rely on other players. So since there are no other players, there's no reason to keep them in the deck and just have to get rid of them later. So that's why those cards were removed. In addition to that rule, we've introduced the action deck in solo mode. And it's actually fun to play with all modes. We do have variations available, but in solo mode, you need this because it's too easy without it. We'll just say that. You have to have some variance in there. So these cards get shuffled after every match, and they represent other gear cards, but they have slightly different properties on them. I've also got another camera off to the side here, so I will be doing some close-ups on cards so you guys can actually see the details and what I'm doing. So in solo mode, the setup is the same to a degree, except for you get to choose your style and gimmick as opposed to having them randomly dealt to you. So what I'll do here is I'm just going to give this a little shuffle because I'm trying to be honest here. Nothing is stacked. Everything is totally random. I'm not trying to make it so there's a specific type of hand I'm dealing myself to make things look a certain way. So this has been shuffled already, but I just give it another quick little shuffle. So typically in the solo mode, you start with 10 gear cards, and I'm going to show you everything here. All right, so now I'm going to discard 4 of these and keep 6. So let me get these laid out, and I'll show you what I've got here, and I'll go through the process of deciding what I'm going to choose and tell you the reasons why. All right. All right, so I've drawn Hammerlock, Shoulder Block, Gang Up, Flashy Robe, Heart Punch, Custom Prop, Figure 4 Leg Lock, Stable, Chant of Support, and Custom Tights. All right, so what am I going to do with these? All right, I'll go through the thought process here. These moves kind of match up the Hammerlock and the Figure 4. If I want to go with a Technician, those would kind of work together. Or if I decided I wanted to go with a Brawler, I got a Shoulder Block and a Heart Punch. And then, so that'll kind of narrow things down. So if we're looking at these 2 cards, so that tells us, all right, if we were to go with a Brawler, we could definitely keep these 2 cards in our initial draw. We'd have a +7 bonus from it. That's a good, that might happen. And the other benefit to it is Brawlers are not weak with submission holds. So we could even keep that Hammerlock if we wanted to get an extra +1 bonus. If we went with a Technician, which I still might do because I love Technicians, we probably wouldn't even keep any of these striking moves because it would be the weak bonus, which is 0 for Shoulder Block. Sometimes it's good to keep a weak move for when you get injured and you decide you want to tap something out. If you tap out a +0 hold, then it's almost like nothing happened. So that's one way to strategize. Then the other cards here, so we got a 1-shot of Chant of Support, which is face only. I'm not certain I want to be a face, so that might be one I discard. Stables are nice to have, and they might be good for a solo play, especially if you need some help. Because normally, when you're playing a multiplayer game and you need to ask somebody to run in for you, in a solo game, you don't. So the stable is kind of the only thing. The problem with this is there's nobody in the discard pile right now. So I can't use this until there are at least a couple of guys in that discard pile. So I'm not sure I want to hold on to that for that long, but I might. Custom prop is always good because that's tapping out for 2 crowd points. So I'm likely going to keep that one no matter what. Custom tights, that's some good attire. I always like to, since there are 6 attire slots, I really like to keep, like to fill out the attire as much as I can. So I will probably keep those 2 as well, because that flashy robe is worth a +2. Gang up is a 1-shot. Not a bad one to have. So I think I'm leaning towards going with a technician, like I told you. I'll keep the hammerlock and the figure 4 in my hand. I'll keep these. Basically, I'm down to 1 other card I can pick. So now I'm getting rid of these striking moves, enchanted support. So I either got to keep stable or gang up. I think I'm just going to keep gang up for now, only because if I play a 1-shot, I can instantly draw another gear card. So I'm going to start by discarding these 4 cards. So for now, I'm just going to put those here, but those are going to get reshuffled before we begin play. Now to decide which gimmick I would like to play, because in solo mode, you get to pick that. Let's see. Of 1,000 hold, that's a good one to have for a technician. But for solo play, there are certain gimmicks that actually work pretty well in solo play. One of them is Beastmaster. That's a good one to have. Sometimes long shot's cool to start with because you can just get an instant victory right in the beginning and then just move on to a different gimmick. But if you don't have another gimmick to play, you might be without one. Impersonator, that's a really tough one to play in solo mode because there's very rarely a face-up gimmick to copy unless there's one in the discard pile. So I don't really advise that in solo mode. Unnatural, it's one of my favorites. I'll probably end up with that one. Or athlete. Athletes, yeah, that's a good one too. So I'm going to narrow it down to one of these 3, and I'll tell you why. So if I go with Beastmaster, the only reason I would pick Beastmaster would be because of the Animal Companion, which allows you to stop a weapon. And if you have the action deck and there's a weapon that comes out, you'd rather have that stopped and win the match as opposed to you're about to win the match and then your opponent gets disqualified for using a weapon and you get no rewards. Same thing with Unnatural, but that it costs a crowd point to activate that, stopping a weapon or a 1-shot. It's a little bit more powerful. And you can also no-sell. So that's pretty powerful too in solo mode. And then Athlete, what's nice about Athlete is this allows you to go digging in the gear deck for more non-weak basic moves. I think for now, I'm just going to go with what I was leaning with was Unnatural. So I'm going to go with Unnatural Technician as my starting gimmick and style. I'm going to shuffle these other things back in here real quick. So, like I said before, all these other gear get shuffled back in. I'm just going to go like this. Get it done quick. And then the styles and gimmicks also get shuffled back into the ring deck. And I got to be more thorough with this because I don't want to end up getting a chunk of styles and gimmicks. And now, as always, when you're drawing ring cards, either at the start of the event or during roll call, you do have the option to discard those styles and gimmicks. That was a rule that we introduced later on in development, only because we find that a lot of people really like the styles and gimmicks they typically start with, unless they're forced out of it by being repackaged or a loser leaves town match. Then you'll often see that they have to go to another gimmick at that point. But most people don't like to change. And the only time they really change the styles is when they're building up their moves. Some guys will get a bunch of average moves, and then they'll change their style, and those average moves now become strong. It's almost like a wrestler changing over time. And, in real life, you see a lot of wrestlers that were flyers that after their body takes a toll, they change their style to be, technicians or brawlers because their body can't take the toll of being a flyer anymore. So that happens as well. And that kind of represents a style change in this game. So hopefully we got enough shuffling here. I need to get my initial crowd points. Everybody starts with 8. And of course, I'm going to be a heel because I like being a heel. So we've chosen our initial style and gimmick, Technician Unnatural. We have our opening hand of 6 gear cards. And obviously, in a solo game, you are the commentator, so you get to control everything from picking the event. And there's no player order because there's only one person. And to represent other players, you add a D6 worth of crowd points to the event pool every time. So we have the title cards out here on the table. So we need to draw our initial champions. So the tag team champions are Karma Shellfire and Mad Miguel. Okay, they're related. Cletus McPeanut is the TV champion. Samuel Cleveland is the national champion. And High Class Cliff Bass is the world champion right now. So we'll go over to the events. So we're looking at the week 1 events. So the way events work is you get to pick one of these for week 1, then you go in order week 2, 3, 4, and then you begin the cycle over again. And every time you finish an event, it's removed from the game. You don't play the same events twice in a row. Now, the reason for this is you've got different things that happen at these events. Now, every event, the TV champion over here, he defends this title. Every single event. But other champions do not. So, for example, at a pay-per-view, it says all championships are defended at a pay-per-view. So that's when all 4 of these championships are on the line. But also, there are certain events that have other championships on the line. So, for example, this week 1 event has the national and tag team championships. And this one has the world and tag team championships here. And strategically, one of the reasons I don't play them first is because I want to have that option to maybe win one of those championships at a non-pay-per-view event. So I'm going to pick this version of Eruption that does not have any other titles on the line besides the television championship. And then if you look on the backside of this card, this also has the commentator as a superstar feature. This is where somebody will either be doing a talk show with you or they'll be running in. Yeah, I know I'm off on the camera here. It's like I have to be offset to the right here. It's kind of weird. Sorry about that, guys. So, switch me. So now we're going to build up the event pool. So we've got Cletus McPeanut is defending the TV championship. I'm notorious for challenging for the TV championship on week 1, but I'm going to refrain from doing that, and I'm going to draw a random superstar for him to defend against. Now, the drawing of superstars, there's no defined order when it comes to setting up who's going to go against who. So you don't have to, in a multiplayer game, you don't need to be that critical about that. There are certain managers like Sam Rage who gives you the ability to look at the top 2 superstar cards before you draw, and then you can pick the one you want and put the other one back. There's a bit of strategy to that. But again, there's no real defined rule on which order you draw those superstars in. So before I decide what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrestle. I just don't know if it's going to be a dark match or not. And then let's switch back for a second. So just kind of looking at, I haven't played any cards yet. These are just still technically in my hand. Trying to get this to focus a little bit better for you, but it doesn't seem to like to. I had to trick it. So I'm likely going to I'll probably have an 8 bonus. 8, 9, I'll probably have a 10. So let's say we're going to wrestle a regular match, regular superstar, right? So we're going to flip these over. I chose Dirk Beerbitter, and Cletus McPeanut is defending against Wildcat. So Dirk is a rank 11 grappler, but he is weak to submission holds. Okay, so that tells me right away that I am going to get a +2 against him because there are style bonuses. And if you're not aware of how these style bonuses work, when you see the red is what their style is, which is a grappler for him, and the blue is what he's weak to. Similar to how it is on your card. These are strong and these are weak moves. You know, your submission holds in red are going to be strong for you, and striking moves in blue are going to be weak for you. And the other two that aren't shown, the grapple and the aerial, are going to be average. But it's a little bit different with these characters because they don't have moves that they play. So their weak style is just what they're susceptible to. So me being a technician, having this in red, and him having this in blue, means I'm going to have a built-in +2 bonus that I'm reminding myself with that little +2 chit. So that way I know that I'm on it. I'm automatically ahead because Dirk just can't handle it. He hates the figure 4, and he's going to get it tonight. So, just to strategize here, I like to use tappable crowd points whenever possible. So the event still hasn't actually started and gone underway yet, but I am going to spend 3 crowd points to bring out my custom prop. And here's where we get to build the character up a little bit. And I'm going to spend 2 crowd points to bring out my custom tights. So we got to come up with a name for our guy here. He's an unnatural. And I'm going to steal a name I used a couple weeks ago, Archangel. Only because I'm not very imaginative right now. So we're gonna say this guy is Archangel. He's like a dark, what's the word for it? Almost like a, what do you call it? Like a gargoyle type character.
Gothic.
Yeah. What should we have the custom prop be? So the custom prop is supposed to be, it's obviously not a Dave puppet. That would be the custom prop for somebody like the String Master. But you get to make something up here. So I would say his is going to be a set of wings he wears to the ring. That's what that's going to be. Now that doesn't take up an attire slot because that's what they call slotless attire. So now, at this point, we'll get underway. Now, the first thing that happens, I have to build up the event pool, which is basically going to be a number of things. Need you to switch when you're ready.
Sorry, answering the questions
no, I understand.
Our viewers are doing.
I know. So when you're building the event pool, this is called an audience modifier. This little golden ticket here, this represents how excited the fans are to see this individual. So gimmicks have them, feuds have them, and title belts have them. So the unnatural gimmick has 3, the TV championship has 1. So that's 4 that we start with, right? That go into the event pool. 4, right? And then in solo mode only, you roll a d6 to add to that pool. So I rolled a 6. So we're going to add 6 more crowd points. Now that represents like what would happen if you had a bunch of players around the table. All right. So we got 10 in the event pool total. All right. Then the next thing that happens is you draw 1 ring card face down. One of the reasons we implemented this was because we found that the person who went first was almost immune to having any drama cards played on them because nobody had any at the beginning. So we have it implemented where everybody gets to draw 1 ring card face down, potentially getting a drama. Of course, I drew long shot. I don't want this. I'm going to discard it and draw another one face down. And because this is not a style or gimmick, I have to keep it. And I've drawn Defend the Cause, which would award me 2 pop, which I don't even want to use. So I'm just going to leave that in my hand for now. Then we will actually move on to the event, starting with the 4 phases. So the first phase is roll call. This is where we draw a ring card face up, and if it affects you directly, if it's a angle or a feud. So I draw, hey, impersonator, a gimmick. So I have 2 choices here. I can say, I can bring this to my hand and I'm not going to be worried about drawing another card I don't want face up and having it affect me, but I'm feeling risky. So I'm going to say, no, I don't want it. And I'm going to draw another one face up. Now, this is General Sam Rage. I have to take him to my hand because he doesn't affect me immediately and I can't redraw because he's not a style or a gimmick. He is a face-only manager, so I couldn't even play him. But he stays in my hand for now. So at this point, we move on to the phase 2, which is the drama phase. Now, there's nobody else to roll this die for me because I'm the only person. So, looking at this, we have commentators, a superstar. We have 2 possibilities here, ringside conflict or talk show interview. So we're going to roll, and I've rolled 4. Talk show interview. That's exactly what I wanted. So now I will get 3 crowd points from the event pool. 3 heat. When you draw from the event pool, you always draw the crowd point that represents your faction. So if you're a heel, you always draw heat. If you're a face, you always draw pop.
Unless a card says otherwise.
Well, when it comes to drawing on,
I
mean, from the event pool. Unless it's a card. Correct. If a card, like for example, this Defend the Cause card, if I had this played on me or if I drew it face up and it says draw 2 pop from the event pool, then that would be an opposing crowd point that would go onto this face turn tracker on my heel play mat. So here we go. We got a nice thing going on here. And this is, and the thing that happens here is I was supposed to draw a superstar that represents who's going to be doing the interview for me. So I'm going to draw a superstar, and it's going to be Patient 162. Somehow this guy is going to do an interview with me. I'll refrain from exhibiting my poor acting skills here. So Archangel is in the ring here. He's having a talk show interview with Patient 162, who is kind of like a lunatic in a straitjacket. So it's kind of like George the Animal Steel interviewing the Crow Sting. Anyway, interesting. But at this point, he stays out. He's not really doing anything. At the end of the match, he will be discarded. And of course, once you're discarded, those superstars are available for things like stable cards and whatnot. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing here. So at this point, we go into phase 3, which is the actual match. So I can play some cards. I haven't played anything yet. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start by tapping out my custom prop and my custom tights. And I'm going to bring in my figure 4 leg lock into play. So now that allows me to put my rank up to 6. I have no other cards in play. Actually, yeah, I have nothing else in play right now that would boost my rank. So probably want to do something else here. So let's see. I am going to spend, I wish this cable didn't get stuck all the time. I'm going to spend 2 crowd points here. One of them is going to be for Hammerlock and one for my flashy robe here, right? So we'll spend those. And I'll bring out my flashy robe. Now, flashy robe gives you a +2 bonus. So that's going to bring my rank up to 8. Right? And then Hammerlock is another strong move for me because it's submission. And that gives me a +2. So as you see, all the strong moves go on top. That's how you remind yourself which line you're looking at. All the average moves go off to the side here, and all the weak moves would go at the bottom. So now that gives me another +2. So now that brings me up to an effective, I'm a rank 10 right now. And Dirk, okay, so we're going to start the match in just a moment, but Dirk's a rank 11, but I also have that +2 against him. So I'm effectively a 12 versus Dirk being an 11. So now this is where the randomness comes into play because the action deck, right? So this has been shuffled. Now, when you're drawing from the action deck, you draw a number of cards based on the tier that they're wrestling in. So we are wrestling in the opener tier right now, which means 1. So we're going to take 1 card from the action deck and draw that. Okay, so what is it? It's a steel chair. All right. So what are the possibilities here? If this goes through, there's a chance that he gets disqualified. And there's also a chance if he doesn't get disqualified, I might get injured. So I really don't want either of those 2 things to happen. So let's take a look at the referee in this match. In this match, we've got Donna Jamies. So it's like a 50-50% chance that DQ is going to happen. But because I am an unnatural, I can stop a weapon or a one-shot for 1 crowd point. I was trying to get it to focus there. As you can see, kind of. So I'm going to spend 1 crowd point to activate this ability. And that's going to negate this card. It never happens. I don't roll for DQ. I don't roll for injury. He doesn't get any bonus from it. So at that point, if I wanted to play another card like this gang up, I could, but I don't need to because I'm winning already by 1 point without having to do anything. And another thing I could do as well that I don't need to do right now is I could always activate my technician ability, which doubles the bonus of a signature or a finisher submission hold, which I have 1 of. So I could make this +6 into a +12, and I could be destroying this guy. But for the sake of this example, the only reason I'd want to do that is to steal the show, and that would get me an extra reward. I don't really need to do that just yet. So at this point, I have defeated Dirk Beerbitter by submission because I have a submission finisher in play. And then, so what I'll do here is I always put back and reshuffle the action cards here in the action deck, just so I don't forget to do that. And then I draw 1, 2, 3, but in a submission finisher, you draw a 4th card face down. So you don't get to see what it is before you get to choose it. Patient 162, he goes off to the discard pile, as does Dirk. So now, because I won this match as an opener, I get 1 of each reward. So I get 1 crowd point, 1 heat. I get 1 match point, and a match point increases your rank by 1. So now I'm a rank 11, right? And I get to pick 1 of these cards here. So let's take a look at what we've drawn here. So we drew 2 face-only cards. So those are obviously not going to be something I choose. We drew a Gorilla Press, which is a signature grapple. I could use that card, but I only get the average bonus of +3 if I decided to play it. And then there's this 1 card that's unknown, the submission slot. I think I'm going to I'm going to pick Gorilla Press and bring that to my hand just to be safe. All right. And then I'm going to discard the other 2. And the card that was unknown, that was a surfboard. That's a basic submission hold. So that would have been worth a +3 for me if I took it. But I could still take it because I'm a heel, but I'll show you in a minute. So at this point, I'm down to, I have 4 cards in my hand right now, so I do not need to discard. This +2 temporary bonus I have kind of goes away too. I'm just going to put that off to the side. So this is technically the end of your turn because the 4th phase is the discarding. And if I didn't, I could always discard things if I didn't want them in my hand, even though it would be below 4 cards. It's not a big deal. I'm just going to leave them in my hand just for the sake of examples here. So then the next thing we have to do is we need to resolve the TV title match. So in this scenario, we're playing basic solo mode. We're not doing any options, but there is an option called knockdown, drag out, that allows you to use the action deck in superstar matches against each other, which makes it more variant in what's going to happen. But we're not going to do that for tonight. So let's take a look at Cletus McPeanut. Cletus is a rank 11, and he's got the TV title, which is worth a 3. So he's a 14, right? He's a grappler. He's weak to aerial. He's also a grappler weak to aerial. So there are no style bonuses between these 2 guys. He's a rank 6. So by default, Wildcat's going to lose here, and Cletus McPeanut is going to retain the title. It's as simple as that in this mode. So we're going to discard Wildcat, and we're going to just move Cletus back onto the board with his championship. And effectively, that event is over. Week 1 is over. We untap any cards we have tapped, and we will move on to week 2. So again, I'm going to look at the week 2 events. Weekend War Games. So there are 3 different versions. There's this basic one here with Ralph Winslow, which is really easy to get DQ'd on. And he's got Jonah Banks, who favors faces. Then you've got this one that has World and Tag Team Championships defending, and this one that has National. So from the same perspective I had before, I'm going to stick with the event that doesn't have any extra titles on the line. So we're going to discard this Eruption that was from week 1 out of the game, and we're going to place this week 2 in here. Again, Cletus McPeanut will be forced to defend his TV championship. And guess who's going to challenge him? Archangel. Archangel is going to challenge for the television championship. So that means I don't have to draw a superstar because I'm challenging him, and we don't have to draw one for him either. So at this point, we will build the event pool. So these crowd points that were in the event pool at the end of the last event should have been cleared out as well. But we're just going to be putting some right back in now. So let's see here. We've got 3, 4, the base 4 we had from last time, and then we rolled a D. I'm not going to show you. I'm just going to roll it. I rolled a 1. Haha, great. So we only got 5 crowd points in the pool this time around. All right. So now I will draw 1 ring card face down. It's a flag waver gimmick. I don't want it. I'm going to draw another one. It's a superhero. I don't know how to shuffle. Hey, guess what? Of 1,000 holds. Don't want it. Man, I suck at shuffling. Okay, this one affects me directly. It's a title stripped angle card, but I don't have a title. If I did have the TV championship, I would have lost it just by this card alone. So this does not go to my hand. Angles affect you directly after drawing face up. So that's going to be discarded. Now, I made a mistake. That actually goes to my hand. That was not the roll call. That was the face down start of the event draw. See? Even I don't know everything. Okay, so now we have no other matches happening, just the one match. So now we'll actually go on to roll call. This is where the face-up card counts. So my mistake earlier, sorry. Now this one is a Superstar Challenge card. It's a drama card. It goes to my hand. It doesn't affect me directly. This card allows you to change who you're wrestling. You can play that on anybody during their drama phase. So obviously in a solo game, I can only play it on myself, but I would use that more if I was stuck in a feud I didn't want to be in, or if I had pulled a random superstar that was way too powerful for me to defeat. I could always change him up with that card. All right. So now, what are we going to do here? We have to move on to the phase 2, which is the drama phase. So we've got either backstage or an in-ring interview. So we're going to roll here. I rolled a 4, which is an in-ring interview. So I get 2 crowd points from the event pool. So this is kind of funny because you got like one of these like weenie type guys, Jonah Banks, who favors the good guys, and you're having an interview with him in the back, and he's kind of, we'll just say he's very intimidated by the Archangel. Or it's in the ring, sorry. So he's talking to him in the ring. And then after the interview ends, you see Cletus McPeanut come down to the ring with his television championship, and he's going to defend. Okay, so let's move on to the match now. So now that we've started the match, we can look at what we're going to have here. So are there any style bonuses? There are no style bonuses in this scenario right here. So here, let's take a look at what we've got here. So I'm going to show you what we've got. So again, we've said Cletus has a 14 because he's got that plus 11, or his 11 rank plus his 3, so he's a 14. Now, we're wrestling an opener match because that's where I am. So whenever you wrestle a match, it depends what your tier is when you start the event. So if you start the event as an opener and you played some cards like after the event started that would bring you into the mid-carder, you're still wrestling as an opener. You're not a mid-carder until the start. Your tier is what you are at the start of the event. Just remember that. So in this scenario, we've got a 14 versus an 11. So I need to do some work here. So before I decide what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw his action card. So, okay, he has drawn Gang Up. Now, Gang Up has 2 parts. He either gets a +2 because he's got some of his friends that come down to the ring and they're going to cheer him on, or he gets a +5 and they could potentially risk DQ. Now, why would you ever want to pick the +5? Well, maybe you want to get him DQ'd. Who knows? In this scenario, I'm going to choose the +2. So he's got a +2 against me. I'll use that little chit to remind me. So now he's a 16 versus an 11. I got to do some work here. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by, let's see. We'll use our Grave Consequences 2 crowd point ability here. This is basically a no-sell. This allows me to remove his finishing hold. It's like I have no soul as finishing hold. So I'm going to spend these 2 crowd points here, which is going to drop him by 6, right? So he's like effectively a 5, plus a 2 is a 7, plus a 3 is a 10. So he's a 10 right now. So I've just no sold him, and I'm beating him right now. I don't really have to do anything else if I don't want to. And I think I'm actually gonna break one of my own rules. I'm gonna take back my crowd points because I totally forgot that I have this custom prop. Because ideally you want to spend crowd points. You only want to spend physical crowd points when you don't have any of these left. So I'm going to take back, and I'm going to tap this out for the 2 crowd points that I used for this.
It's on record now that you did that.
I know. And I still have one I could tap out over here. Anyway, so at this point, I've defeated him by beating him by 1 point, right? So I'm going to win the television championship. So we're going to put that back here. We get rid of this bonus chit. So I've defeated Cletus McPeanut for the television championship. So now, when you look at the TV championship, it says, get 1 crowd point when you win this title. So that's the first thing you do is you grab that crowd point. Beautiful. Okay. Now, we do the 1, 2, 3, 4 because I have a submission in play. Normally it's 1, 2, 3 when you don't have a submission finisher in play. Since we were openers, we get 1 each, so I get 1 crowd point, 1 match point. So the 1 match point brings me up to a rank 12, but the television title is a +3. So that brings me up to a 15. So now I'm going to be a mid-carder in the next event. Now, what am I going to do with what I have here? Let me shuffle this for the next event. All right. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use...
Hey, Mike, Javier just had a question. Are you getting the match points? If you want to show your match points up there.
Yeah, I got 2. One's for each match at opener rank. All right, so I'm going to tap out my custom tights, and I'm going to spend a crowd point to bring my Gorilla Press into play. Now, that's an average move because it's grapple. That brings me up by the average bonus of 3. So now I'm an 18. Now we're getting to the point where I need to do some discards here because I've got 5 cards in my hands. And I'm just going to discard this Defend the Cause because I don't really need to have that. All right. Now, I've got 4 cards in my hand. I'm now the television champion. There are no other matches that are happening. Oh, I didn't pick my rewards. See, man, I'm missing stuff here. This happens when you get old. I forgot to pick some cards here. We're still in phase 4, or end of 3, technically. There's a Gut Wrench Suplex, a Hurricane Rana, extra signature, and a card I don't know. And I get to pick 1 reward. So obviously I don't want an aerial finisher. So we know we don't want that. Gut Wrench Suplex I might take. That's worth 2 points if I do bring it into play. Extra signature is nice too, but I only have 1 in play right now, but it allows you to play it without paying the cost. So that might be good down the line. Let's do this. We're going to take an unknown card this time around. And what do we get? Ooh, a Sledgehammer. It's a heal-only weapon. Okay, so that goes to my hand. The other 2 get discarded here. And now I technically have 5 cards, and I got to discard down again. So I'm going to get rid of Sam Rage. So now I'm back down to 4 cards here. And we'll get rid of him. All right. So now that's the end of the second week. We clear out the event pool. We untap our cards. We get rid of the event. Move on to week 3. All right, week 3. What have we got here? So let's take a look at these week 3 events. So this retaliation has a special modifier. I really wish I could get this to focus better. This one has a special that gives all active heals a +2. Likewise, there's also one that gives faces a +2. So obviously I'm not going to do that one. And then there's this other special version of retaliation that allows you to, it's called Inmates Running the Asylum. This kind of brings you back to the days when the NWO were running WCW and they could basically do whatever they wanted and created everything. So that's kind of what that means. But basically, during this event, if you have this particular event in play, you get to, what does it say? When drawing face-up ring cards, you can look at the top two, decide which one, and place back the other one. So let's try that one, just for the heck of it. All right. So now, because I am the TV champion, I have to defend my title at every event. No other title is going to be defended at this event. So basically, there's one match. It's going to be against a random superstar. So I have to defend. I can't choose not to defend the title. I can't choose the dark match. I can't do any of that. And now it's at the mid-carder level because I'm a mid-carder. So I drew Flip Scott. Flip Scott is a rank 27 when it comes to his mid-carder rank. He's a flyer who is weak to strikes, so I do not get a style bonus against him. All right. So let's see if we can take down this acrobat. So we'll start with building the event pool, which is going to be 3 plus the 1 for the championship plus a random die roll. So that'll be, I rolled a 2. So we're going to get 6 in the event pool. Six in the event pool. Here we go. And then we'll draw our one face down ring card. And that's a gimmick I'm going to discard. This is another card. I don't have to show it to you, but it's going to be another Superstar Challenge card. And we're actually going to use that in this example just because 27 is a little bit high for me. So we're going to move on to the beginning of the event. So we're going to go to roll call, which is phase 1. This is where we draw the ring card face up and it affects you directly. Doing so, I drew an athlete, going to discard depth of character angle. Now this one happens. So this depth of character says search the gear discards and choose up to 2 attire cards. So I don't think there were any gear in here. There are no attire cards in this discard. So nothing actually happens from this card. It gets discarded. Would have been nice because then I could have maybe gotten some free attire out of it. I think you get to equip it for free as well. So that's beneficial to help build up your attire, that particular angle. All right, so we'll move on to phase 2, which is the drama phase. So we got commentators Marla Jacobs. It's either a backstage or an in-ring interview. I'm going to roll this. She adjusts. Now, I made a mistake, and I'm not going to do anything about it because I was supposed to look at those top 2 cards of the ring deck, and I forgot to do that. But I'm happy with the depth of character, we'll say, so I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm going to roll this to see what happens on the commentator table here, and I've rolled a 5, which is an in-ring interview. That's going to get me 2 crowd points. So let's say Marla's giving me an interview, and I say that I'm too good for for Flip Scott. I want a new challenger. I'm going to play in my drama phase my Superstar Challenge card. So this particular card says, draw a superstar to wrestle in a non-dark match. The superstar replaces any other wrestler you were supposed to wrestle, even if it was a dark match, title match, feud, or another player. So in this scenario, it's just somebody who's challenging me for the title, right? So I'm going to discard that.
And don't forget, too, we've had questions about breaking out of a feud. That's the card that you use to get out of it.
Right. Yeah, the Superstar Challenge cards, there are 5 of those in the ring deck, and that card can be used to get out of a feud. So now I get to draw a new superstar. And I pulled the Great Galactic Ghoul. He's a 30. Guess what? I got another Superstar Challenge card. I can play another one. Still the drama phase. I don't like you. Get rid of him. Draw another one. Pepe, a 30. Awesome. Looks like I'm screwed no matter what. So now I'm defending the TV, and I don't have any more Superstar Challenge cards, so I'm going to have to go against Pepe. So, all right. Let's see what we can pull off here. I've been in tighter spots. So we've got our pool built, right? We got this, boom, boom, boom. Okay, so now we're going to be on to phase 3, the actual match itself. All right. So what can we do here? There are no style bonuses here between us. So now we're going to draw 2 cards from the action deck because we're in the mid-card or tier. So let's put this back. So let's see what we get here. We got the first card we draw is, I'm really screwed. So I drew a signature chant. That gives him a plus. Actually, here's where I'm not going to be screwed. So this card would normally give him a +2 and 2 more of these cards. But I am going to spend a crowd point here. I'm going to tap out my custom tights, and I'm going to stop that one shot. So it's going to be invalidated, and he's not going to draw those 2 other cards that he would normally draw from this card. He does get his second action deck card, so we're going to draw that one next. Now this one's a weapon. I'm going to do, this is where I'm going to think about it for a minute. If I stop this weapon, the match continues, and I have to find a way to make up the ranks because he is a 30, which is the very top of the track, and I'm like 12 behind. I would need 13 to win. Is there a way I can make up 13? I could no-sell him and get 7 of those 13, but is there another way I can make that up? I could use my locked-in ability to get a +6, and that would make us, that would do it, right? Am I gang up? Yeah, so I've got options. So I am going to spend that single crowd point, and because the custom prop gives me 2, and I only need 1. Oh no, actually I'm going to use it to no sell. So I'm going to tap out custom prop, and I'm going to use that for no sell, and I'm going to spend the crowd point to use my stop ability to stop this weapon. So both these action deck cards were turned off with my gimmick abilities, right? And now I've done a no sell on him, so his bonus dropped by 7, right? So he's effectively a 23 right now. And then I'm going to spend 2 more crowd points here to use my locked in ability. This one's only usable once per match, so I kind of tap it out to remind myself that I've used it. And that gives me that doubles the bonus. I'm trying to find a
+6.
+6 bonus chit over here. I didn't take them out ahead of time. So this gives me a +6, right? So that effectively makes me a 24 versus his 23. So right now, I'm winning this match by a point, and I'm going to take that win. So I make Pepe tap out to the good old figure 4. I'm going to draw my 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to draw. Now I get 2 rewards, 2 of each reward. So I get 2 crowd points. I get 2 match points. 2 match points. So that brings my rank up by 2 automatically, right? I don't need this bonus chit anymore. Just going to move these off to the side so I don't get confused. Sometimes people shuffle the action deck back into the gear deck if you don't pay attention. All right, we're going to discard Pepe. Now I get to pick my rewards. I get to pick 2 of them. Let's see. I know I don't want to strike, so I'm not going to take the elbow drop. I think I'll take, the side headlock's only worth a +1 for me. Well, I'm going to start by taking the face down card, and that'll just help me decide what I'm going to pick next. So that's a full Nelson. That's a basic. That's a good one for me. I already have 1 basic in play. So I'm just going to discard the side headlock, and I'm going to take the brass knuckles. Now I've got 5 cards in my hand, so I got to discard 1. So title strip doesn't really help me. So I'm just going to discard that one. But I think I'm also going to play. I'm going to spend a crowd point too, and I'm going to play full Nelson just to bring that out. And that brings me up by 3. So now I'm at 23, right? I'm going to double check my count here to make sure I'm not underestimating what I'm supposed to be doing here. So 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 23. Got it. All right. So that's the end of that event. I untap all the cards I had tapped out, clear out the event pool, discard the event. Moving on to the first pay-per-view. Which one am I going to pick? All right. The pay-per-views, the only real variance comes in the referee and the commentator. So at this point, one thing I forgot too was when I'm the TV champion, I get to pick my drama roll. So that last event where I rolled it, I didn't have to roll it. Again, I forgot. But the TV champion gets to pick what they want to do. So knowing that, I'm going to look at the referees and I'm going to decide to go with low down and dirty with Oscar Cortez because he's the least likely to disqualify somebody. So we're going to play that one. Now, this is where things get really big here because we got to have challengers for all the titles. And since I am the television champion, this is a unique situation. I am a champion, but I could also challenge. So if I said, hey, I want to challenge Samuel Cleveland for his national title, I could do that. And then if I won, my TV title would become vacated. If I lost, I would keep my TV title because he can't be the TV champion because he's already a higher champion. Some people might play it where you lose the TV championship, but usually it's not a title versus title match. Usually it's always the higher title that's on the line, and the lower title only gets vacated if that person wins it. But, if you want to play it the other way, by all means, go for it. So we have to draw challengers for all these champions. I could also, I don't have a stable, so I can't go for the tag team championships. But if I did have a stable, I could. Because that's a mid-carder title. So I'm going to start drawing these people here. So Steady Eddie and Red Light Rogie are challenging for the tag team championship. So now
tag team right there.
Yeah, right. Best friends. So screw it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a title versus title match, kind of. And I'm going to challenge Samuel Cleveland for his national championship. I'm rising the ranks quick. And then, of course, I can't challenge for the world championship, but Cliff Bass does still have to defend it. And he will be defending against Gore Garrison. All right, so now here's the fun part, building up this event pool, right? So we've got 3, 4, 2, 6, 3, 9, 10, 11, plus a D6, 11 and 5, 16 crowd points in the pool. There's a lot of crowd points. Not likely going to get many of those, but there are a lot of possibilities if angles come out and whatever. All right. So now we need to do our face down draw. And this goes to my hand. It's an injured card. Thankfully, I didn't draw that one face up. So now we'll move on to roll call, which will be face up. It's a zealot card gimmick. Going to discard that. I'm going to grab another one. Ooh, table match. Okay, so now that means I am in a table match tonight because this is a feud card. It affects you directly when you draw it face up. If you draw it at a pay-per-view, that match is happening right now. So the feud didn't really have time to build, but it's now going to be a table match at this event. Now, a table match says, ignore DQ risk caused by weapons. Ooh, that's good. I got brass knuckles and a sledgehammer. It also says, let me show you. It also says if you lose by 5 or more, become injured. So I don't really want to lose that. And then it says brawlers and extremists get a +3. Well, superstars don't have gimmicks, so he's not a extremist. But if he were a brawler with the fist there, then he would get a bonus, but he doesn't. All right. So now we will move on to phase 2, the drama phase. Now, as I had forgotten before, the TV championship card gives us the ability to choose your drama roll instead of having it rolled. So in this scenario, I'm going to choose, obviously, the better of the two. Trash talk is not good because then you lose a crowd point or you get one fewer if you win. So I'm going to pick the backstage interview. So the best I can possibly get is the 1 crowd point out of that one. So I'm going to do that and get 1 crowd point. Then we will move on to the match itself. So we're going to have a table match for the national championship against Samuel Cleveland. All right. So the first things first, we've got, we have 2, I have to shuffle this action deck. So effectively, he is a 31 because he's at a rank 26 here. Let's switch over. So he's a 26 plus a 5. So he's a 31 versus my 23, right? All right. So he has 2 cards that come out into play. So the first one is a no sell. It's a one shot. Well, I don't like that because I'm the master of no selling. So I am going to tap out my custom tights and I'm going to use my stop a one shot ability to negate that one. Then he's going to draw his second mid carder one. And that's a chant of support. And that would normally give him a +3 in another action card. Again, I'm going to use a crowd point. I'm going to spend the crowd point here. And I'm going to use the same ability to stop a one shot. You see why I like this guy in solo mode? So now I've totally negated both of those. I'm kind of using the exact same technique I used in the last match. Hey, it works, right? So now I can spend 2 crowd points to either no sell him or do a locked in. But I still might need more than that to win, right? So let's see, Samuel Cleveland's got a +6. So no matter which I do, I'm going to get a 6 bonus, right? So we'll use the no sell ability right over here, right? So we'll tap that one out. So we'll no sell Samuel Cleveland, bringing him down to an effective 25, right? So he's a 25 and I'm a 23. So I only need 3 to win, right? So at this point, I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. I'm going to spend 2 crowd points here to activate my locked in ability. That's going to give me that +6 bonus again. So now I'm effectively a 29 and I'm defeating him. So at this point, I made Samuel Cleveland, who's based on a real person, tap out.
The real Samuel Cleveland wouldn't have tapped out if he's watching.
All right. So I'm going to clear things up just to help me keep track of all this stuff. Now, because I won that table match, I get an extra reward because it's a feud special match, right? So I will get an extra reward from that. So Samuel Cleveland gets discarded. I get the national championship. Now, it says when you get the national championship, get 2 crowd points when you win this title. So I will take those 2 crowd points immediately. My TV championship gets vacated. I'll put that on the board for next round. And then we discard the table card because that feud is now over, even though it was very short-lived. I get to pick 2 of each, so I get 2 crowd points. These are different from the 2 that I just got from winning the title. These are 2 for winning the match itself. I get 2 crowd points. I'm just going to flip one of these to make it a 5 and keep this one and discard the other 2. So now I have 6 match points total. I didn't even need to use weapons. See, I should have played my damn one shots instead of using those crowd points, and I could have still probably beat him.
Yeah, you're passing up the opportunity to get extra gear.
Yeah, it's just part of a technique. Okay, so where are we now? We got to grab 2 of these cards up here. All right, what do we have here? We have the Mist. Let's bring it up. Take a look. So we've got the Mist, which is a weapon, stable, which might be good to take now because we've got a bunch of superstars built up in the discard pile. Suplex is still average for me. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the face down card, which is a spine buster. Well, it's a grapple. That's worth 3 if I play it. So I might end up doing that. And then I'm going to take stable just so we can get through that if we decide to move on here. I'm going to discard these 2 here. All right. So now let's try to quickly get through and do some math here to see who's going to win these other title matches.
And anybody who watched the tournament knows how good we are at math.
Yes. So actually, we got to go back to this camera.
Oh, gotcha.
So looking at style bonuses apply between all the superstars in a tag team match. So you have to look at each one. So Karma Shellfire, she's got the skull here. He's got the skull in the weak. So she gets a +2 in the match, right? Fist. He gets a +2 in the match. And that's it, right? So each of these 2 in the tag team champions gets a style bonus. So effectively, she is a 22. Taking that +2, that 18, and that too, because the tag team champions are going to wrestle at the mid-carder level if they're not in a if they're not facing a player that's a higher tier. Mad Miguel, he's going to be 31. So we can obviously see that these guys are not going to win. A 24 and an 18. So at this point,
if you wanted to, you could interfere.
Technically, he is correct. If I really wanted to see these titles change hands, I could play one of my cards to try to either help them win or get them disqualified. But I don't see a need for it because these guys could be tough to, especially at the higher level. And I'm not going for the tag team titles, so I don't really care at this point. So I'm going to allow these two to win and keep their titles. So we're going to discard Red Light and Eddie. And who knows, I might take them into my own stable if I decide to play it. So these two stay the tag team champions. And then we got a world championship match here. So Cliff Bass, he's wrestling at the 43 in the 7th, so he's a 51 versus a 43. So as you can see, when you don't have the action deck in these matches, they're pretty quick because you're just comparing one number, and unless you get involved in the match. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I'm sorry, I forgot to discard down. I was going to discard that injured card over here, and I was going to spend 2 crowd points to bring Spinebuster into play. And that brings me back down to 4. Sorry, I meant to do that earlier. But in this scenario, with this match, Cliff Bass is going to retain the title. Now, if I wanted to interfere, it doesn't really matter. Both these guys are 43, and neither of them has a, like if I'm going to go for the champion, like if I'm thinking ahead of time and I'm thinking, oh, I want to face one of these 2 guys for the world title later on, neither of them is weak to my style. So there's no benefit to either of these guys. They both have the same, like style bonus would be one of the first things I looked for, and the value of the finisher bonus would be the second thing. Because if I no sell somebody, that means their bonus is going to go down by that number, and they're both 5s. So there's effectively no difference between these guys as my opponent as world champion. So I'm going to have Cliff Bass retain his title against Greg Garrison. And that's the end of the pay-per-view. Do we continue?
Might be time to go for a break and talk. And before that, talk a little bit about the code that's going to be up on the break screen.
It's not on the break screen.
Ah, sorry.
But
my bad.
Yeah, actually, well, we are going to take a break in a minute, but I'm going to tell you 2 things before and after. So give me a second here. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab a shirt over here. So as you can see, I'm styling one of the Dreadlords t-shirt. And there's also one with these 2.
Should have called it the Apocalypse Twins.
Yeah, right. So tonight and for the following week, we have a promo code that's available on our store. It's a live 1, the word LIVE and the number 1. Gives you $5 off per t-shirt for a week. So if you decide you want 1 or 2 shirts, you get $5 each off. They're pretty nice. They're all 100% cotton. This is a 2X. And it has the Grimsteel logo on the side. It has the style icons along the back of the neck here. It even has the Grimsteel Games logo on the inside tag here. It's pretty nifty.
No ripping off those pesky tags that you get in normal t-shirts.
They don't bother you. So yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. I need to get something to drink, and we'll see how much further we're gonna go. I came back. All right, so we've decided that we'll just continue because we're doing well so far. That was 4 events. We were on here for a little over an hour, and we probably can bang this out and show you a potential victory in solo mode. So we may as well take the opportunity. So let's switch over here because I need to adjust my rank here now that I'm the national champion. Oh yeah, by the way, national champion has the ability that says during roll call, draw ring cards face down. That means I can't get screwed by angles and feuds as long as I have this title enabled. So my rank was 23. I went through and counted things up during the break here. All these moves that I have in play, the titles and the attire and my match points. And now I'm effectively a 30, which is pretty good because that puts you at the top of the mid card. Now I can't challenge for the world title yet, but being at the top of the mid card is pretty good because that means there's not likely going to be anybody higher than me that I draw to face me. So we go back to picking a week 1 event. And this would be interesting here. I'll show you something. I'm thinking what I want to do here. I'll think out loud. So if I pick this card here, of course I'm not going to keep offsetting things. I have to stay to the right in order to get what I'm looking at. This one allows the world and the tag team champions to defend at week 1, and this one is national. Now, if I picked this first one, I would still wrestle. My title bonus or my title audience modifier would still apply to the event pool, but I wouldn't defend my title. I could have a match, but it would not be a title match. So if I lost the match, I wouldn't lose the title if I chose this particular one. But I do want to be a fighting champion. So I am going to take this week 1, and I will actually defend my new championships, as will the TV champion. Actually, the TV championships are vacated. So that will be up for grabs between two superstars, and the tag team champions will also defend. So we'll put that one back over here, and we will put this one in play for this week. All right, so we got to build up the event pool here. So let's see, I have to defend against somebody. So I'm going to draw a random superstar to defend against. Draw that face down. The TV champions, the tag team titles are up for grabs as well. So they will face 2 random superstars. Oh, I got to keep them face down. And then TV championship is vacated. So that means nobody gets the title bonus. But 2 people will be squaring off. Now, a DQ victory is not good enough to win the title. Now, what does that mean? That means if I decided to get involved, I could keep the title vacated if there was a disqualification. But then again, we do have Oscar Cortez, and he very rarely DQs to begin with, so not likely to happen. All right, so now we need to build up the event pool. So let's see, we've got 3 and 2, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus 6. So 14 crowd points in this event pool. So 11, what did I say? 14?
Yep.
He knows not to say anything. All right. And I get to draw my face down card for event setup. It's a gimmick, an antagonist. I'm going to discard that. This one I get to keep. It's actually Lionel Lecter. He's a heel manager. I'm actually just going to bring him into play now. You can bring a manager into play. If it's in your hand, you can bring it into play anytime you want. If you wanted to use the hire a manager, that's a little bit different where you have to pay crowd points. If I did it, it'd cost me 2 because the base cost is 5 and you reduce it by the number of audience modifier, which is 3 on mine. But I don't have to do that because I drew him to my hand. And I'm just going to bring him into play immediately, which is nice because he allows you to re-roll DQ risks, and he can change your drama roll. Some of this stuff is irrelevant to me, but I like to have a manager anyway. And then I'm going to run things a little bit differently because I'm defending my championship, and technically the national championship is higher in rank than the TV championship, even the tag team championships. I'm going to run the superstar matches first. And that's just a matter of preference. In the solo mode, you can do whatever the heck you want. But in this scenario, that's the way I'm going to choose to do it. So let's see who's wrestling who here. So for the television championship, let's just switch over to this. We've got Milkweed Assassin is going up against Olympia. And then the tag team champions, Mad Miguel and Karma Shellfire, are defending against Brianna Braun and Charity Unkindness. And I have to defend my national championship against Octavius. I'm going to kick his ass.
Squiddy.
All right. So let's start down here with the TV championship. What's going to happen here? This is going to be opener rank, 9 versus 7. If there are any style bonuses, let's take a look. There are no style bonuses in this match. So right now, Olympia would win this match easily and become the TV champion. And I don't think there's any reason for me to get involved in this match, so I'm just going to let it happen. So we'll discard Milkweed Assassin. And we'll let Olympia become the TV champion. Beautiful. There we go. Quick match. Then let's look at the tag titles here. There's a little glare on her there. So again, we have to look at these potential style bonuses. So what do we have here? We got one there. Oh, she gets 2 because Karma has a bonus against both Brianna and Charity. Nice. But also, yeah, Charity gets a bonus against Karma and Mad Miguel. She gets 2 plus 2s and she gets 2 plus 2s. All right. So let's do some math here. So we're comparing mid-carder ranks. I know that light is kind of creating problems here. So we got a 16 and a 17. So like, what do we got there? 35 or... I'll tell you right now. Mad Miguel being a 27 makes it pretty much like these guys can't be touched. Because even with these bonuses, his rank with these titles, they're going to retain their titles.
We'll have to call him the Mad Mid-Carter.
The Mad Mid-Carter, yeah. All right. So they're out. They stay the champions. All right, great. Now we'll move on to my match. So let's turn this off here. So now I'm going to, okay, because I am the national champion, my ability as a national champion is draw roll call ring cards face down. So I will draw, and it's a style. I don't want it. Discard. I've got no risk here. Movie star gimmick. Don't want it. All right. So I have to keep this card, but it's not going to affect me because I didn't draw it face up. But it happens to be signing autographs, which gives you 2 pop, which I wouldn't want. So that goes to my hand because of the national championship's ability. All right. That was roll call. Now we move on to drama. Now, in drama phase, what do we have here? We've got Jazz Jupiter. I'm no longer the TV champion, so I don't get to pick it. I do have to roll it, right? But I have Lionel Lecter. He allows me to change this roll by plus or minus 1. So ideally, I don't want trash talk and I do want backstage interview. Additionally, Jazz, the commentator here, he favors heels, which gives me as a heel ability to alter it again by plus or minus 1. So let's see what we get here. I rolled a 2, which happens to be backstage interview. Exactly what I want. So I'm not going to modify the roll at all. And I'm going to get 1 crowd point out of it. No problem. There we go. 1 heat. All right, good. Have an interview. I'm going to tell him how I'm going to tie up Octavius by his tentacles on his face. Yeah. All right. So now what are we going to do? We got to move on to the match itself. Let's see how this is going to go down. Now, Octavius, let's see. We've got no style bonuses here. And he's a 23 and I'm a 30. So that means I've got 7 on him. Now, we do have to draw his action deck card. So let's see. He has to draw 2. So we'll draw the first one here and he draws a no sell, right? Okay. So what am I going to do? You know what I'm going to do. I got a tried and true method. I'm going to tap out my custom tights and activate my grave consequences to stop it. I'm going to draw a second action card. Hey, guess what I'm going to do? Yeah, it's a pretty good gimmick for solo mode. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to spend the crowd point because I don't want to tap this out for 2. Well, I could tap it out for 2. Let's think about it for a second. Because I don't really have to do anything here. The reason I want to stop this is because I don't want him to draw another action card, which could be, something else potentially. So, I'm just going to spend the crowd point. I might want to spend those 2 later. All right, so now I've totally invalidated both his cards. He's a 23, I'm a 30. I'm actually stealing the show because I'm defeating him by 7. So if it's between 5 and 10, you're stealing the show, which grants you an extra reward. Also, if you steal the show and there are no crowd points in the pool, you get to steal it from another place. In solo mode, since there are no other players, you just get to steal it from the general pool. And that's one of the reasons why we took out the cut a promo card, because the cut a promo card is like a vault where you can't steal from it, even if you steal the show. But since there are no other players, that's why we decided there's no purpose in keeping this card in a solo mode. All right, so I'm going to defeat him by submission. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. I get 2 rewards, or 2. I'm not going to forget, I get an extra reward as well. So I get 2 crowd points, 2 match points. So now these 2 match points are going to push me into the main eventer tier now. And then I get 2 of these. Okay, sunglasses is head attire. I don't have any head attire, right? And let's see, high risk aerial move. I don't have aerial move, so I'm obviously not gonna take that one. And singlet, I already have tights, so I'm not gonna take that one. So I'm gonna discard these 2, and I'm gonna take sunglasses to my hand, and I'm going to take this face down card, and that's gonna be, hey, gang up. So now I've got a lot of cards in my hand here. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with them. All right. So before I do that, I'm going to reshuffle my action deck here. You'll see me shuffling this a lot. I may shuffle it both before and after a match just to make sure I don't get repeats of things. All right. Just don't shuffle it in between drawing. I'm going to discard Octavius here. All right. Beautiful. So now I've got a lot of cards in my hand I need to do something with because I don't want to get rid of all of them. So, okay, sunglasses. I'm going to tap out my custom prop to get 2 crowd points to bring in sunglasses. That I can tap out to get 1 in the future. Nice to have. I definitely don't want signing autographs. So I'm going to end up discarding that one. So now let's see. I've got 5 cards in my hand. All right, we're going to have fun. We're going to create a stable. Now, stable has an upkeep of 2 crowd points. So upkeep is paid at the end of the drama phase. So if you're going to play a stable, it's best to play it after the drama phase. And technically, I shouldn't play it yet. But I'm only doing it because I don't want to discard any of these cards I have in my hand, and I don't want to discard either. So I'm going to play it. It doesn't cost you anything to play a stable card. When you play the swindle, it attaches to other cards. So in this one, here, I'll show it to you, in case you're not familiar with stable. So it says you form a stable with 2 discarded superstars of your choice. So I get to go through that discard deck. We'll do that in a second. Either can run in for you in your match, providing their finisher bonus, or serve as your tag team partner. Upkeep is 2 crowd points. So that means at the end of every drama phase, I have to pay 2 crowd points in order to keep the stable alive. If I don't pay them, this stable card gets discarded, and the superstars go back into the superstar discard pile. So let's take a look here at the discarded superstars. Now, it could be a flavor, like, oh, I like this guy, I like that guy. But just to make it simple, I'm looking at like finishing bonuses because that's going to be the number that you get. So these guys are all 6s. These are all 7s. She's all 6s and 7s.
Don't.
All right. We'll go with that. Those 2 guys because they were a tag team before. So I'm going to take Steady Eddie and Red Light Rogie into my stable.
Good choices for a stable.
Yes. The Archangel, hockey player, and the wrestler.
Yeah. Walk into a bar.
Yeah, right. All right, so that's my stable right there. Now I'm down to 3 cards or 4 cards in my hand. I don't need to discard anymore. All right, so that's the end of week 5. So we'll clear out the pool. We will discard the event. We'll untap cards that were tapped. And we'll look at the next event we want. Okay. All right. Let's see if we're going to get daring here. Weekend War Games. This is a week 2. This one has the World Championship on the line if I wanted to. And now that I'm a main eventer, I could technically challenge Cliff Bass for the title. He's effectively at 50 with the title card, right? So is there any way I'm thinking I could get myself up to 51 or higher? Before I challenge him, I'm thinking, okay, I could definitely no-sell him. And that would bring him down to a 45. I could give myself a +6. And then it'd be like a 38 to a 45. And I'd still need to get up there. And then I look at my hand. What do I have here? I've got some weapons. You know what? And I've got this manager here that allows me to re-roll DQ rolls. You know what? We're going to have fun with this. This is what we're going to do. We're going to pick the Weekend War Games that has the world champion defending, and we are going to challenge the world champion. So it's kind of like one of those title versus title matches again, right? But now that we're in the main event tier, we draw 3 of these action deck cards right here. So I can maybe use my stopping of the one-shots, and I can use a bunch of weapons to beat them, and then if I get disqualified, I can re-roll it with Lionel Lecter. That's going to be my strategy here. So let's see if we can do it. Still don't win. I still have to defend. So we got to build the event pool here.
Don't forget the TV championship.
The TV championship needs to be defended as well. Thank you. So we'll put that off to the side, and we'll give her a challenger, Frenzy. That ought to be fun. All right. So building the event pool. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 3, 8, 9 plus 5, 14. All right, 14 crowd points in the event pool. And I get to take 1 ring card to my hand. I have to take that one. It's Defend the Cause. I'll never use it, but I have to take it to my hand anyway. Now, at this event, I'm just going to have we're going to just let the TV championship get resolved first, because you wouldn't have a TV championship title match after a world title match, would you? You could, but we're not going to do that.
Nobody
so right now, yeah, right. We're looking at these. There are no style bonuses here. She's a 12. He's a 9. If nobody does anything, she's going to retain the title. So we're just going to let that happen. She retains the title. Frenzy's discarded. All right. Move on to my turn. So now, again, because I am the national champion, I get to draw my roll call card face down. It's a gimmick. I don't want it. I'm discarding it. This one is I've drawn this card face down. It's a feud card, but I don't have to play it because I've drawn it face down, and I'm going to just put it in my hand. All right. So now we're going to move on to the drama phase 2 here. Now this one is going to be Commentator as a Superstar. It's either Ringside Conflict or Talk Show Interview. So I can affect this roll by 1 because of Lionel Lecter. So let's roll this up and see what we get here. So I've rolled a 2. So the best I can get is a 3, and that's not going to help me. So there's going to be ringside conflict. Okay, so when we look at ringside conflict here, trying to get the focus for you here. Anyway, it says the active wrestler draws a random superstar on the top of the discard. Draws a random superstar or the top of the discard. So now I could choose Frenzy, who I know has a +5, or I could draw somebody else not knowing who it's going to be. And I'm going to just pick Frenzy because I know that +5 is the lowest bonus you're going to see for a finisher. So that means Frenzy is going to interfere without risking DQ. That's a special for ringside conflict to help Cliff Bass in his title match. He's a bit jaded from losing to a woman. Anyway, how's this going to roll? Okay, let's see what we get here. So this could foil my plans. You never know. But then again, I'm going to play a lot of one-shots and I'll get more, which means I could potentially draw a not so fast, which would stop his run in. Anyway, let's see what we can do here. We'll move on to the match itself. I don't get any crowd points during this drama phase, but I do have plenty of attire that give me crowd points when I tap them out. Oh, I have to pay my upkeep. So I'm going to tap out custom prop. Those 2 crowd points will cover my upkeep for my stable. Then we will start the match here. A lot of math to do. So let's start. Are there any style bonuses here? We're both technicians, so there's no style bonus between Cliff Bass and myself. He's going to draw 3 cards, and he's going to get that +5 for the run-in. So I'm just going to put this over here for now. He does not have to roll for DQ because the ringside conflict does not have a DQ, even though it is a run-in. So right now we know he's effectively a 55, 43, the 7, and the 5, right? So I got some problems here. A trick you can do to help you with the math. I sometimes will take a different colored cube and I will kind of put where it is. Like this guy, we know he's a 55. So I say, okay, he's a 55. So I'm going to put this orange cube here just to help remind me where he's at. So now he's going to draw 3 cards, right? So we'll shuffle this up. Let's see what we get here. So he's going to draw a brass knuckles. So I'm going to spend 1 to activate that, to stop that card, right? You know, my old technique. His second card is going to be a no-sell. Well, I'm definitely going to spend another crowd point. I'm going to tap out my sunglasses over here to get a crowd point, and I'm going to use that to invalidate his no-sell. Now, again, this is exhibiting how powerful this particular gimmick can be in this scenario. In a multiplayer game, it may be less significant and less powerful because you've got many things happening at once. Last card, he's got a rope leverage, which is worth a +2. I might get rid of that one afterwards. I'm not going to get rid of it immediately. And I do have the ability to do that at a later point in time. So as I've explained before, the match should not be seen as something that's linear. It should be seen as an end result. So the only reason I kind of no-stop some of these cards in the beginning, there I stopped the weapon and I stopped the one-shot. Sometimes some of these cards have it where you can draw more cards. And I prevent those from being drawn by doing that. So for now, we know that these 2 were invalidated, and this one I haven't invalidated yet, but I might invalidate it. Okay, so let's take a look at the board here. So technically we'll say he's 2 higher. We'll just say he's a 57, right? But we may get rid of that one. What can I do here? All right. I can have some fun with these cards down here. I got 2 gang ups, sledgehammer, and brass knuckles. I've got my no-sell. I've got my locked in. I got all these cards I can use. I've got a referee that is pretty generous. It kind of looks the other way a lot of the time. I've got the ability to reroll DQ risks. So I'm going to take some chances. We'll start simple. I'm going to play Sledgehammer. Right? That gives me a +3.
Peter Gabriel?
Now, what's going to happen here? First thing that's going to happen is I've introduced a weapon. I get to draw another gear card to my hand. And it's a superplex. And I have to roll for DQ. So
that's the first time you've done that. Don't forget that. Weapons and one-shots. Don't forget to draw your extra gear.
So I've rolled a 6. That means the match continues. So I get that +3. There's no DQ from it. Okay, that's good. So again, you don't normally do this, but I'm going to jump this up by 3 just to give myself an easier way to track what I'm doing without having to mess up the math as I'm trying to talk to you live here. All right. What else can I do here to help myself out? I've got more one-shots I can play, but maybe what I'll do is I'll do my I got to be careful with my match points or my crowd points because I've already tapped out all my stuff. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8. I've got 9 crowd points over here that I can spend. I think I want to spend 2 and 2, but I might need to re-roll some DQ stuff, so I might want to be careful down here. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to try playing a gang up. Now, gang up, you can technically, it works a little bit differently in the action deck than it does in the gear deck. So when you play it as a regular gear card, meaning as a player, you can pick and then change it later. You could say, oh, I'm going to do a +2 right now, and there's no DQ risk. And then if the match goes sideways and you need to make that bonus increase to a +5, you could say, oh, actually, I want to make it a +5 and then roll for the DQ. But you know what? I really need the +5. So I'm going to take the +5 right away. And it's going to be almost like some other wrestlers come down. Not necessarily my stable guys, because these actually I can bring in later. But we'll just say some random superstars come down and they don't like Cliff for some reason. And they get involved in the match. And then we're going to roll for DQ again. And I rolled another 6. Look at that. Again, no DQ risk. That gives me a +5, right? So that brings me up to a 40. Okay, we're narrowing the gap here, right? So what else can we do? I forgot to take a card, right? So I get to draw another gear card because I played that one shot. And it's a no-sell. So now that actually can help me because instead of spending the 2 crowd points to do this ability, this is the exact same thing, but it costs me nothing. So it was better that I played that one shot and didn't spend the crowd points ahead of time. So I'm actually going to use the no-sell now, right? And that's going to drop him by 5. So we're going to bring Cliff down by 5, down to a rank 52, right? Beautiful. And I get to draw another card from the gear deck. And it's Arm Tassels. All right. So now what are we going to do? We will spend 2 crowd points to use our locked-in ability. That's going to give us the +6 because we're doubling the bonus. Yeah, he's got it, though. I got to get another chit here. Hold on. It'll give me that +6, right? So that's going to bring me up to a 46. So now we're literally 6 away from each other. If I had 7, I could beat him, right? I think I can get there. All right. So now I'm going to call in one of my stable members. So now a stable member can run in for you in a match. So I'm going to have Red Light Rogie run in. And he's going to attack Cliff Bass as well for a +7, right? And I have to roll a DQ risk on that one as well. So I'm going to roll it. And I roll the 5. Again, I don't have to do anything about it. So now that was a 7, right? So that brings me up to 53. I am now defeating Cliff Bass by 1. And I still have options. I don't really need to beat him any more than that. And there are no other outside things that are going to happen. So I will consider this to be a victory. I'm going to leave. I left that rope leverage in play. I didn't stop it. There's no reason for me to do that. The cards played out well for me. And we're going to win the world championship right now. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to clean up these cards here just to give myself a cleaner playing field to look at here. I can untap my locked-in ability. I can get rid of these bonus chits. I can discard Cliff Bass. I can return Red Light Rogie to my stable. I can discard these 3 gear cards. All right, now what? We draw our 1, 2, 3, 4. I have a submission finisher in play. Now I get 3 rewards of each. So I get 3 crowd points. Right? Oh, yeah. Also, the World Championship says you get 3 crowd points when you win this title. So I'm going to vacate the National Championship. I get 3 more crowd points for winning the title. I get 3 match points. Where's that going to bring me? Up to 12, right? So I can just flip one of them. Now it's 12. Okay, great. I'm going to have to recalculate my rank at some point here. Because it's at least up 10 from what it was. And I forget where it was.
You were 33 when it started.
I was at 33. So I'm probably somewhere around the 43 right now. But we're going to recalculate it in a minute just to make sure. So I get 3 of these gear rewards here. So I'm going to take... The thing is this, I got a lot of cards in my hand. So there's a good chance I'm not even going to be able to keep many of these. But I have to take them anyway. So I'm going to take these 2 and this one, which happens to be a captivating entrance, and I'm going to discard DQ risk. Okay, oh yeah, and also Frenzy is now out. All right, so what do we have here? We have to discard down to 4. We already have 2 of these 2 signatures in play, plus so we can't play this extra one, so we know we're going to discard Superplex. I kind of like having Not So Fast just in case there's a run-in. This loser leaves town feud. I'm going to get rid of that one. I don't need that. Let's see. What else do we have here? Defend the Cause. We know we don't need that one. So we'll discard that one. So we're down to 2, 4. Okay, what else do we need here? All right. What's a good bonus here? So arm tassels. That's arms attire. Do we have any arms attire? We don't. So we can spend the crowd point. We can bring in the arm tassels. That's worth a +1. So I think we're going to be up around the 44, but we'll recalculate that later. So now we're down to 5 cards. So we just got to get rid of 1 really. So what's a good one to play here? We obviously want to keep Captivating Entrance because that's a +3. And this would have helped in that last match. So I do want to keep Not So Fast. So we're going to get rid of Brass Knuckles. So we're going to keep these 4 here in our hand. All right. So now we're going to clear out the event pool here. We're going to clear out the event card itself. We're going to untap. So we've won the World Championship on week 6, technically, right? So now the next step is to defend this championship, and I win. So what does defend mean? Defend means the title is up for grabs in the event, and you walk out of the event with that title. That could mean you get disqualified and you keep the title. Great. That means you defended it, you win the game, even though you didn't win the match. But you could also just win the match itself. So let's see if we can get this done here. So we're on the 7th week, and I'm going to pick the one that gives active heals a +2 just to give myself that extra edge. Now, I'm not defending the title, so I can't win the game in this event because only the TV champion is defending during this event. So even though I'm wrestling, I'm not defending the title. And the national championship, oops, I'm not supposed to draw her face up. The national championship is also up for grabs with 2 random superstars. And I have to wrestle a match, but I don't know. It's a non-title match. So I'm going to be wrestling Hemlock Hayes. Olympia is facing Tarja Torn. And Leonid is taking on Nate Storm for the national championship. All right, so now we need to build the event pool. All right, so 3, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 4, 13. And exactly 13 left from the last event. There you go. Works out, right? All right. We got a lot of things going on here. So I get to draw my face down ring card. It's a gimmick. I don't want it. I need to draw another one. I have to take it. It's a manager, Marsha Flowers. Could come in handy, but I'm not sure. So before I take my turn, I'm going to actually run these other matches first. Again, just because I want to, even though the championship's not on the line, the world champion should wrestle last, right? So let's take a look at this. We got a 9 plus 3, right? 12 to 12. Oh, and she's weak. So you see, this is an instance where there's a style bonus. She gets a +2. So she's a 14 versus a 13, or a 12, rather. So with no outside interference, Tarja is going to win the TV title at this event. We have a new TV champ. Look at that. And then we have these two. Neither of them gets the bonus for the championship. So let's see. Is there a style bonus? No, they're both grapplers. Leonid's and 28. Nate Storm's a 22. So we're not going to get involved in this match. Leonid is going to become the new national champion. He's over there. All right. So now we have to go up and do our turn here. So now I'm no longer the national champion. That means I have to draw my roll call face up. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I didn't recalculate my bonus. Give me a second just to make sure I have it right. Because there are a lot of things that happened in that last match. Something's not right.
What are you getting for a number?
Not that. Give me a second here. 10, 12, 13, 15, 18, 24, 26, 29, 32, 39. All right. So good thing I calculated that. I'm a 39. All right. So let's see. He's a 35. I'm a 39. We're both. Did I draw? Okay, I haven't done my roll call yet. So I'm going to do roll call first. So this is face up, affects me directly, ring royalty. It's a gimmick. I don't want it. I'm going to take another one. Ooh, injured. So I've become injured. This affects me directly, right? So injured says, I'm going to show you the injured card. So this card existed before the injured condition that was actually listed in the game. So they're pretty much the same thing. I'm trying to get this to focus better for us. Target is injured until the end of their next event or match, whichever comes first. Tap out one move while injured. The bonus for this move cannot be used in a match, but still counts towards your tier. So ideally, the best thing to do is you find the move that has the lowest bonus for you. So in this instance, Hammerlock has a +2. So I'm going to tap that out. So even though my rank, I'm still a main eventer, I'm still a rank 39, but when I wrestle, I'm only going to be at a 37 because I'm injured. All right. All right. So now we're going to discard this to the ring discard pile. And we will do the interview in the drama phase. So we have an in-ring interview and trash talk. We will roll this. I don't have the ability to choose this, but we do have Lionel Lecter, which can allow us to modify this by 1. I've rolled a 6. A 5 is no better, but she's going to be trash talking me. She doesn't like me for some reason, even though, oh no, I'm a heel. Okay, so here's where this comes into place. I can actually modify this twice. So Lionel Lecter can bring this 5 down to a 6. I'm sorry, the 6 down to a 5. And then Glenda can kind of favor me because she favors heels, which I am, and I can bring that 5 down to a 4. Now that means I'm getting an in-ring interview for 2 crowd points. So
she likes you. She really likes you.
I got a nice pile of crowd points over here. Fortunately, I haven't had to use them all because I got a lot of attire that works for me. All right. So now it's time to move on to the match. So right away, we know I'm ahead because I'm at 37. He's at 35. But we do have to roll or play the action cards here. So let's see. The first action card's a chant of support. You know what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend the crowd point here. I'm going to tap out my custom tights, and I'm going to negate that. I'm going to stop a one shot, so that one's not going to happen. The second one's going to come out, effective hate. Again, I'm going to do the same thing. I know it seems like a one-trick pony, but it's very effective in this situation. Boom, it's out. Last one, steel chair. Again, I'm going to tap one out. I'm going to just spend the crowd point, and I'm going to stop a weapon. So I effectively stopped everything he did. Right? So that leaves it at a 37 to 35 if I do nothing else. But you know what I feel like doing? Because I'm not going to spend crowd points, but I have my custom prop available. I'm actually going to tap this out, and I'm going to use my locked-in ability to give myself a +6, right? Now what that's going to do is, that was the better choice between the two. I could have no-sold him, but it would only give me a 5. But if I use my locked-in ability, it gives me a +6. So I was already 2 ahead, now I'm 8 ahead. Now I'm stealing the show. I'm making this guy look like a fool. So I'm going to call that a victory. So I'm going to just pull this off to the side, reshuffle this deck. So I made him tap out. I made him look like a fool. I stole the show. Best match of the night. If you will discard Hemlock Haze. Untap my technician card here. All right. And that injured card now ends, so I can untap my Hammerlock. I get 3 crowd points for the victory. I get 3 match points. So that brings me from up to 15. And I get to pick 3 of these cards here. Now, what can I do with these? This is fun. Oh, I don't have any weapons. I was going to say signature weapon might be fun, but I don't have any weapons in my hand. Moonsault and Scissor Kick are both signatures, not even from my style, so I don't really need them, but I do need to take 3 cards to my hand. So I'm going to take this face down one, which happens to be the Mist. Oh, this is going to be fun, right? And then I'm going to take signature weapon. I'm going to make those 2 work together. And then I'm just going to take Scissor Kick. I'm going to probably end up discarding that one anyway, right? So what can I do here? I can take signature weapon here. Says attach to a weapon in your hand, ignoring requirements, and play it as a +0 slotless attire. Tap it out to use it in the match without discarding. Okay, so what that means is I'm actually going to take the Mist, and I'm going to make it my signature weapon. Now, who do you know did that? People like the Great Kabuki, the Great Muda. So that's going to be my signature weapon. So now this weapon doesn't get discarded. It just gets tapped out when I use it. It also, when you use it, you don't get to pick another gear card either. But that takes 2 out of my hand and gives me a weapon I can use automatically. All right, Scissor Kick, we know we don't need that. We're going to discard that because we got to get down to 4 here. And even though Marcia Flowers gives you 2 crowd points, I think that having Lionel Lecter's rerolling of DQ risks is a little bit more important to me right now. So I'm going to discard Marcia Flowers. So we're down to 4. And that's the end of this event. I'm going to clear out this +6 chit. We're going to clear out the event pool. We're going to remove the event card. And now, guess where we are, people? We're on to the second pay-per-view. All right. So we're going to pick Rumble Mania. And so 50-50 chance on DQ. And yeah, doesn't matter. Better chances here. Both the commentators' favorite faces, so there's no help for me there. All right, so now all the titles are on the line. So we need to get challengers for these champions. There's a good chance this can end the game if I win my match or walk away with the title. I don't even have to win. I just need to. Oh, I should be drawing these face down. All right. So let's see what we got here. The TV championship is going to be Tarja Torn versus Deacon Beacon. Leonid's defending the national championship against Pamalava. Tag team champions Karma Shellfire and Mad Miguel are facing Bolivar the Butcher and Helen Wheels. And I am defending the world title against Kygarius. I can do it. All right, here we go. Ooh, it's about to get intense. Now we're going to build this huge event pool. What's this going to be? 3, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, plus 2. It's not as huge as I thought. 13. All right. So now, I'll take my face down ring card. It's a gimmick. I don't want it. I'm going to discard it. This one I have to keep. It's an angle card face turn, which I don't want to play on myself, but it has to go to my hand anyway. I forgot to untap these cards for the start of the event, which I should have done. I think at the last event, I forgot to pay my my stable fee too. Just to be fair, I'm going to take 2 heat off of here because I should have done it and I didn't. I think I forgot to take my extra reward for stealing the show too. But you know what?
Nobody to check you when it's a solo game.
No, I know. You know what? I'm just going to take back. I will say, I'm going to say I took a crowd point for that. So I'm going to take one of those 2 back. Doing it all out. Again, in the future, you know, could be between victory in a multiplayer game. You probably should be more strict about those things and not go back in time and say, hey, you forgot it, too bad. But I know that somebody will watch this later and say, hey, you forgot to do this or you forgot to do that. And then you'll have to watch to the end of the video where I corrected myself. All right. So let's get through the event here. Again, I'm going to wrestle last. So we're going to get through these other events first, the other matches first. So we'll start with the TV title match. Let's see, do we have any style bonuses here? No, we don't. She's a 12 and 3, 15 versus an 11. She made Deacon Beacon tap out. Boom.
Typical.
Yeah, right. All right. Again, the big math. What do we got here? All brawlers. But she gets a bonus against 2 of them. So she has a +4. So she's a 26. He's a 29. Yeah. So they retain the titles. So they're defeated. So the tag team. A man and his daughter-in-law. And then the national championship. Let's see what we got here. 2 grapplers. 28 and a 5, so 33 versus the 24. Leonid retains. All right. So we'll go on to my turn here. So I'm going to do my roll call. Drawing face up. No holds barred match. So now I'm in. Again, it's a feud card that affects me immediately. This is the second time this has happened to me where I drew it during the pay-per-view event. So even the event pool's already been built. So this feud card, the audience modifier on it, the +2, does not add crowd points now because the match didn't exist. It kind of evolved into this match behind the scenes. So in a no holds barred match, we see that ignore all DQ risks during this match. All DQ risks. So that means weapons and run-ins. Ooh. And guess what I've got? I've got stable guys and I've got a signature weapon. Looking good for me. And if you lose by more than 5, you become injured. Okay, so what are we going to do here? We got to do our drama phase. Or no, we got to do our
Roll call.
roll call. No, that was a roll call. No
Oh
holds
yeah,
barred
yeah,
was
yeah.
a roll call. So now we got to roll our drama phase here, a 4, and we can modify this by 1 because of Lionel Lecter, but we don't want to because that's 2 crowd points there. So we're going to get 2 crowd points for our in-ring interview. Man, I got a pile of these crowd points over here, huh? Nice. That doesn't always happen. All right. So let's get into this match here. So effectively, again, I'm going to do the same thing I did before with this little orange cube. So there's no style bonus. He's a 44, and I'm a 39, right? Okay. So let's get into his action deck here. So what do we get here? Effective hate. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tap out, use my stop of 1 shot to get rid of that card. Steel chair. Going to tap out, negate that. DQ risk. Well, you know what? I don't have to eliminate that one because this is a no-hold barred match. It says ignore all DQ risks. So I don't have to spend a crowd point to negate that one because it wouldn't do anything for us. So those are his 3 cards he drew. So now how can I close the gap? All right. Easy. We'll start by calling in Steady Eddie to interfere in the match. No DQ risk. That's going to give me a +7, right? Where does that bring us? Boom, that brings me up to 45. That's winning right there, winning the game. Do we want to do anything else? Yeah, we don't have to. I'll just take a regular victory. I mean, I could do other stuff. I could try to steal the show, but for the purposes of this live stream and finishing it out, we may as well. We may as well call it there. So as you can see, I defeated them by 1. And because I defended my title successfully, I win. So after 8 rounds, 2 cycles on the second pay-per-view, I won the game in solo mode. So hopefully that helps anybody who may be confused on it or just learning how to play the game. I think personally that solo mode helps you learn how to play the game for a multiplayer even more easily. And even when you move on to a 2-player game, you would probably be able to learn more. And there's more volatility. 6-player games need a lot of room. And yeah, you're probably not going to pay attention to every single thing that happens, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to take a while to play. But sometimes you can use different modes. Like we suggest, one we'll always play when we're crunched for time is quick play. So the first person, we play to the end of a pay-per-view. So we only do 4 cycles, and whoever has the highest title at that point is the winner of that. But that, things can happen there. Sometimes you might not be getting a championship higher than the TV. You might get somebody that's a national champion. You never know. There are ways to start at a higher rank with mid-season start. You can do things, like I said, we like to play with knockdown drag out so that the superstars use the action deck in their matches. And the other one is called superstar action. So those 2 options listed on page 29 here. The first one, called superstar action, means you use the action deck when you are facing a superstar. And then the knockdown drag out is they use it in their own matches that don't involve a player. So those 2 variations are pretty good for having, or it's more likely you're going to see title changes between superstars, which can be good or bad for you. Again, there are a lot of variations you can play with, but I would suggest if you're going to play a 3-player game and you want to try to end it within an hour or 2, then you try to do a quick play mode. You can't use quick play with solo mode because there's only 1 person. So, there's no point to do that. So you got to play solo to the end. Playable superstars. You could use playable superstars in a solo mode. It just helps you get started a little bit more quickly. Maybe we'll do another stream dedicated to that. Anyway, I hope this was useful for you. You enjoyed it. and hope we can do something like this again. And again, just to remind you, the shirts, we do have these 2 shirt designs available, and the promo code or the discount code LIVE1, LIVE, and the number 1 will get you $5 off each shirt you want to get. And it's only good for a week. So it'll be ending next Monday night, which is what, the 11th?
The 13th.
13th. Yeah. So if you get to watch it between now and then, and you want to get one of these t-shirts, this is my favorite. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for joining us.